TIFU by letting my sil use my Switch. Update, thanks to you /Zapilter, it is no longer OFU. So this happened about an hour ago and oddly enough I'm pretty okay with it. As the title says, I gave my Switch to my sister-in-law, to play because she had never used it but had seen how it works. Now, I believe that games are a very powerful interactive media that can, if made correctly, be catered to anyone. So, naturally I said yes when she asked if she could play. She jumped on and saw the Switch games I had and immediately went to Breath of the Wild. Interestingly, she had never heard of Zelda before. I had not played too much Breath of the Wild as I find open world games exhausting because there is far too much downtime. I have been playing it sporadically over the past couple of months and had roughly put in about 30 hours. The game boots up and it gets to the home menu where I tell her to just start a new game. It then brings up a prompt that states it will save over the last save file. I immediately begin saying wait repetitively over half a second, getting louder each time, as she presses the yes option, deleting my save data. All those challenges will need to be done again as well as that overbearing intro, all gone. I think it's important to note that I'm not actually that upset about this, as I shrugged it off and had a laugh about it. She was profusely apologizing. However, the idea of jumping back into the game sounds too draining to bear now. So, if anyone has memorable moments they can share about the game that might get someone hyped up for the game again, that would be great. Thanks for reading. TL, Doctor, I gave my sil my Switch and she proceeded to delete my 30+ hour save file of Zelda. Yay, tell me about it. A buddy of mine deleted my 99% done 120 hour plus Final Fantasy X save a few minutes after I finally got the very last weapon I had to finish farming. It was like 20 years ago but it still bothers me how I never was able to completely finish this awesome game. Frown. He didn't do it on purpose obviously and he nearly cried saying sorry thousands of times. We were 10 to 12 when that happened and I didn't kill him. Smile. Oof, now I don't feel like mine is as bad anymore. Sounds like a good time to go back and try it out now though. If she didn't make a ton of new save files, your old ones show when you go to load an older save. It's how I saved my first run of the game after my sister overwrited my save. Yep, you're right. Sitting right there in my face is my last save. So no longer OFU. Thanks so much for that. Just 30 hours. Don't worry, you'll be able to go over your own steps and will surely do it faster. Anyway, if you have online, you may have saved your progress to the cloud. Skeptical. If your cloud data is still safe, you can re-download it. There's still hope if you had NSO. TIFU by being the awkward neighbor. For the past year I've lived in my apartment complex and quite successfully avoided meeting my neighbors, until today. Literally like 10 minutes ago my neighbor knocked on my door and asked if I had any pliers, which I did, but instead of just handing them off I had a better idea. Go into the neighbor's apartment with her. So it doesn't sound like a big deal except I haven't introduced myself. I don't know her name and her husband/sig other and child are in the living room looking at me like who the folk? That's not even the worst part. I tried to help while making awkward conversation. Well, at this point the older child has been sent to its room and the husband takes over. So what do? I stand there, and I couldn't help but notice a smaller human in a chair. I work with infants, I have terrible baby fever and I'm also a huge fan of tiny things in general, so of course I have to do fawn over this tiny ray of sunshine. I ask how old the baby is and they say 6 days old, and me being me gush over it. I mean, this little baby is so tiny she could fit in both of my hands with no problems. And she's so cute I can't help but go into full-on work mode like I do with my babies at work. In a stranger's house, whose name I don't know. Luckily I realized how creepy that was and, not so gracefully, took my leave. After apologizing like 12 times. God, I hope they don't think I'm a freaking weirdo. TL, Doctor, I walked into my neighbor's apartment uninvited and proceeded to gush over their 6-day-old baby like a creep. Your reaction is a pretty big swing from trying to avoid them. Yeah, not that bad, plus the only way to be less socially awkward is to experience those moments. Everything comes with practice. I wouldn't worry about it, just say hello to them next time you see them. Oof, big oof. It wasn't a fuck up, you didn't do anything bad, Just start talking with them, invite your neighbors to your home, sat at dinner table and bit by bit clear all misunderstanding. Deleted. Coconut those notifications, it's a 50 upvotes post. TIFU by playing some PSVR. Some background, the wife and I decided to get a PSVR, PlayStation VR, during Black Friday. We both have a few games we'd like to play, and since the bundle with the motion controllers was on sale, we decided to get one. So for now we only got a few PSVR games and the PSVR demo discs we got from the PlayStation Store, but for a first week, it's entertaining enough. Story: this happened yesterday, Sunday. We decided to play some VR games. My wife goes in first and play a bit of golf VR. After 30 minutes she lets me play. I try a few demos but quickly get motion sickness from Battlezone, so I decided to stop and play a bit of Super Hot. I'm playing and my motion sickness is better, so I'm really into it, throwing objects at enemies, throwing punches and going through levels. At one point there's an enemy to my right that I didn't see until he's a few feet away and he's throwing a punch at me. So naturally I crouch to avoid his punch and I punch in his direction. But my punch actually land. Like IRL land. I freeze, my brain not understanding what just happened. And then the crying starts. I quickly remove the headset, to realize that I just punched my 7-year on the forehead. We haven't played since, and I still feel like banana. My daughter was fine after a bit of crying and has a nice bump on the forehead. Needless to say, we instituted strict rules regarding playing VR and our daughter needs to be mindful when someone is playing. I'm sure we don't have to remind her, but still, and we need to keep an eye on her when the other is playing. TLDR, got a PSVR, and while playing some Super Hot, I punched my daughter in the face. Edit, typos. That's one way to teach boundaries, Lamau. This will be a story you tell all your daughter's friends when she's older and laugh at. Zucchini happens, everyone is okay, and that's what really matters. Sorry, but I laughed harder than I should hearing you VR smacked your kid. Reminds me of that time I had just finished a Super Hot session in VR. My mother startled me and I almost threw my car keys at her. This reminds me of when I was like 6 years old and my two aunts were playing Wii Tennis and Coconut was getting real intense and I walked right in the line of fire and one of them whacked me right in the head with a closed fist packed with a Wii remote. NGL, that Zucchini hurted. I got the Wii brand new for my 18th birthday. This post makes me feel much older than you realize, lol.